Good morning. Today is Mono Commute, the series in which I utilize my drive to work or to the gym to talk about movies and series. And before we start, please do not text and drive. I always disactivate my display on my camera so I won't get distracted while driving. Always look at the road and do not get distracted. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the movie Furiosa, the prequel to the Mad Max Fury Road movie. Before we start, I want to say that I really enjoyed Mad Max Fury Road. It was an amazing movie that I watched a couple of times, that I will watch again tomorrow, just to compare again. I really enjoyed that movie for the visuals, the stunts, the pacing, the action, and the entertainment factor of that movie. Furiosa is the prequel story of as the name of the movie implies, the character Furiosa in the Mad Max Fury Road movie. And it's all about her upbringing, is that the right word, or her history and her development from a child to then being this road warrior. And I think without spoiling too much, let me just switch lanes. Without spoiling too much, the synopsis is, as I said, her upbringing from being a child to becoming the road warrior. And it basically starts by this event, let's call it that way, where Chris Hemsworth, who is the antagonist, the villain in this whole story, gets a hold of Furiosa when she's a kid. And there is a, let's say, political exchange between him and the villain of the Mad Max Fury Road movies. And that way Furiosa is left, let's say, in the camp of that villain from the Mad Max Fury Road movie. And, excuse me, I have allergies, although it's raining, but it is quite noticeable. So basically, she is...
Dort an der Baustelle 2 Kilometer vor dem es Gimmick in der Operation durch Stauern. Du fickst dich doch immer auf den Stellpunkt.
Sorry about that. That was my in Google Maps. So she was kind of abducted by Chris Hemsworth and then is able to, in air quotes, escape him and get to this other villain. And from there, it basically starts her development into becoming this warrior, this driver of the vehicles that we already know from the first Mad Max movie. And there is a traffic jam in front of me. Let's see. Take care of the road. Looking what's going on behind me. Does that person see me braking? In Germany, we always put on hazard lights once we arrive at the end of a traffic jam. Not sure if that's the same in other countries as well, but if not, it is a really good practice to kind of let people behind you know, hold on, here on the highway, there is a traffic jam, so that person does not crash into you once you brake in the middle of the highway. So she becomes this warrior and starts her revenge on Chris Hemsworth, who abducted her when she was a child. So that is basically the storyline of the movie Furiosa without spoiling too much of the story. Now, I think the story and the characters, the actors are amazing in this movie. Chris Hemsworth as the villain, I like him a lot. I like what they did with him in terms of makeup, in terms of how he speaks. You always know Chris Hemsworth from like Thor or from the Netflix movies Extraction, and he always has this deep voice with an American accent. No, is it an American accent? But yeah, it's not a thick Australian accent. And in this, he has this makeup on that kind of changes his appearance, and he has this little bit high, whiny pitched voice with this, as far as I know, Australian accent. And it's really fun, actually. I like it a lot. Furiosa, who is played, I forgot the actor's name, but she is also known from the series The Queen's Gambit. She's also really good. So I really like the overall story arc, the characters, the way the actors play those characters. However, that movie is way too long. I actually fell asleep at one point, somewhere in the middle. It is 149 minutes long. It's way too long. I believe the story is so good. If they made it a 90 or 100 minute movie, that movie would have been amazing. The pacing would have been much better. It's too long. It's way too long. The story, I understand that there was the urge to kind of tell everything in detail, but it was just too much. It was way too long. Some scenes did not need to be that long. Some action scenes where I was like, okay, I get it. This is really fun, but now you're just repeating stuff. And it was boring at times. It took way too long. And it's a shame because the story and the characters are really good. There was no need to make it long. I get from a filmmaker's perspective where they were sitting in the edit and they were like, oh, this character is so cool. We need to give that character more time. Oh, the scene is so cool. We should make it longer. But in editing, it's all about kill your darlings. And even though you might think that a scene or a character development is amazing, I think you should just cut it down and make the movie shorter. I feel if it would have been 90 minutes or 100 minutes or even 120, that would have been enough. Next thing about what I did not like at all in this movie, there were scenes where it was very obvious that they sped up the whole take. I get that sometimes, like in fight scenes, you choreograph the fight scene slower, then you speed it up to make it more impactful. But it is always done in a way that you don't see it. Or with car scenes or chasing scenes, you obviously make everything safer for the stuntman and stuff like that. And everyone involved behind the camera, you shoot it a little bit slower, then you speed it up. With cars and with some action scenes, you can do that and can get away with it most of the time. However, if you see people running, it is getting very obvious. And there is a scene in the first third of the movie where you see motorcycles riding towards the camera and a lot of people running away from the motorcycles. And because those people are running away, you see how that whole scene sped up double time. And you see them like running real fast, and it is very unnatural and very jarring to see. It looks like a mistake, and my buddy who sat next to me, who isn't that into filmmaking, he was like, dude, is that now in vogue to speed it up like that? Is that a common way to do it, or is that a mistake? And I was like, dude, to me it feels like a mistake. It's you sometimes speed up scenes and takes, but you don't do it in that obvious way, and it felt very jarring and distracting, and I did not like that at all. Furthermore, there are a couple of scenes where people were jumping on a motorcycle, or people were falling off a motorcycle or whatever, and it looked like a video game. It looked like a AAA video game in a way that if you would play that game, you would say, oh, that's a really good animation. But if you look at it in the movie, it feels, oh, this is cheap. This does not feel good. It is very detailed. It is looking good when you look at it at the still frame, but the animation, the motion felt choppy in a way and not natural. So I was really distracted by that, and I feel that if they would have shortened the movie, and I assume it is due to budget, due to time constraints, that maybe some of the animation was not being taken care of as good as they should have been. And therefore, I feel if they would have shortened the movie, and therefore the takes for the animations wouldn't have been that long, I think they could have done a little bit more, or could have taken a little bit more care of those animations to make them look more natural. And those things felt very jarring to me and distracting in the movie. Again, overall, I think the story is really good and the characters are really fleshed out and really developed. The actors were good, but I feel that they still would have been very good and even better, maybe not fully fleshed out, but the story would have been much better if they cut out 30 minutes of the movie. And it's a shame to me that I fell asleep during the movie because I felt a little bit bored. Moreover, the first third of the movie was really difficult to understand in terms of audio quality because there was the mixing. I was in the movies with a 7.1 surround sound system, and I felt overall the mix was really good, and it got better after the first third of the movie. But the first third of the movie was really hard to understand due to the mixing, due to the sound effects, due to the way they were speaking and a little bit mumbling. And I had a hard time to follow all of the story. And that was also a shame. So overall, I would say if you saw Mad Max Fury Road, do not expect the same intensity in terms of pacing, in terms of action, but more expect a character-driven storyline, and be prepared that there are passages in the movie where you will get a little bit bored. It is still good to watch, and probably some would ask, is it enough to watch it at home and on streaming? And I would say maybe. And as I said, it was enjoyable to watch on a big screen, but then again, it was a little bit boring at times. Maybe if I would have watched it in 2 sessions, it would have been not that long to me. But yeah, it's really hard for me to give a recommendation for this movie because the storyline was so good, the visuals are good, but it's just way too long. Yeah, if you have watched Furiosa, what do you think about that movie? And did you feel that it was too long? Let me know in the comment section below. And it's hard for me to give the score. So if you have any questions about that movie, and maybe what's your favorite, I love dystopian movies. What's your favorite dystopian movie? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. And please feel free to subscribe to this channel and click the little bell icon so you won't miss next videos on this channel. Also check out my main channel, this channel as well, Instagram and podcast at You Know The Bow. Stay safe and healthy everyone, and please drive safe. Thank you very much.